Good evening, everybody. Today we will talk about how to study some of the polynomial functions. Before we start, you should repeat with me the degree of the polynomial function. What is the meaning of the degree of the polynomial function? As we said in the previous session, the degree of the polynomial function is the highest power after simplifying. Don't forget to simplify your function before determining its degree. So before we start, we have three kinds of functions or three kinds of polynomial functions we will study together. Let's start and see. The first one is called the linear function. What is the meaning of the linear function, or what is the standard form to write the linear function? As you see, the linear function is a function on the set of the real numbers, which is written or has a standard form f of x equals ax plus b. Note that the linear function is a first degree function. This means that to know that this function is a linear function, it shouldn't has a power more than power 1, because it's first degree, so it has only x, just x, not x squared, not x cubed, not a function without x. So some examples for the linear functions is f of x equal x minus 1. It has only x, not x squared, not x cubed. And the other one is f of x equals 2x plus 1. The last one is f of x is 3x. As you see, the very important note, as we said, in each of the shown functions, the index of x is 1. This means that the power of x is only 1. So it's a first degree function. The most important point now is how to represent graphically the linear function. As you know, the linear function is a straight line. It's represented graphically by a straight line. So how can you draw a line? To draw a line, all what I need is only 2 points or more. So we can say that to draw a line, we need at least 2 points. The most important points here is to get the intersection points with the main axes. What are the main axes? The main axes are x-axis and y-axis, and as we said before, any point lies on x-axis, its y-coordinates equal 0, and any point lies on y-axis, its x-coordinate is equal to 0. So we can say that the y-axis, the intersection with y-axis with 0 and b, as we said, the standard form f of x equal ax plus b, where a is the coefficient of x and b is called the absolute term, which has no variable behind it. And the intersection with x-axis, negative b over a and 0. Let's try and see. Before we start, I would like to check with you this very important point. You said to me that if the function f of x equals ax plus b, it will intersect x-axis at negative b over a and 0, and it will intersect y-axis at the point 0 and b, because any point on x-axis, its y-coordinates or its second image or its second projection equals to 0, and if the point lies on y-axis, then x-coordinates will be equal to 0. What about the straight line passing through, if the line passing through or passing by the origin point? Remember with me, the origin point is 0x and 0 for y. If the line is passing through the origin point, then the standard form here of the function f of x is ax without b, because you intersect y-axis at 0. Then the value of b is 0. Then I can try it ax plus b. And to make sure that it's a linear function, a couldn't be equals to 0. A can't be equal 0. So we can say that a belongs to the set of real numbers except 0, or in other words, we can say that a belongs to R star. So check with me again these 3 points. The first one, to get the intersection with x-axis, it will be negative b over a and 0. To get the intersection with y-axis, it will be 0 and b. If the straight line is passing by the origin point, then the function has no constant or has no absolute term, or in other words, b will be equal 0. And to be clear that it's a linear function, a should belongs to the set of real numbers except 0, or should belongs to r star, or in other words we can say that it's not equal to 0. Let's try how to represent graphically the linear function. We have two methods, and we will check these two methods together to know how to represent it graphically. The first one is to find only 2 points, and the most important points for me is the intersection with x-axis and with y-axis. So to draw, I need to find 2 points. These 2 points, I will get x and y. To find the intersection point with y-axis, I will put x equals to 0. And to find the intersection point with with x-axis, I will put y equals to 0. So in the first one, I will put x equals 0 and solve to get y. Like f of x, it will be f of 0, 3 multiplied by 0 minus 3, which is equal negative 3. Then it will be 0 and negative 3. And to find the intersection point with x-axis, I will put the function equal 0 and solve to get the value of x. How to solve to get the value of x? Like being in primary, by putting 3 on the other side in its opposite sign, so 3x will be equal 3. This means that x equals 1. Then I got that I will intersect x-axis at the point 1, 0, and intersect y-axis at the point 0 and negative 3. Let's try to draw. To draw, in order to draw, please use your pencil and your ruler. Don't use your hand. Don't act like freehand drawing. So I will put my points on the graph paper. On my right hand side it will be x, and on the other side it will be x dash, y and y dash. Put your points 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and below negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 4. Let's put our points, then we will graph it. 0 is negative 3, I will stand with 0 and I will go to negative 3. The other point is 1 and 0. As you see, if you joined these 2 points but stretching your line like this, it will be the straight line passing through the point 1 with 0 and 0 negative 3. So I draw the line without headache by finding only 2 points, which are the intersection point with x-axis and the intersection point with y-axis. Again, how to get the intersection point with x-axis? By putting y equals to 0 and solve to find x. How to get the point of intersection with y-axis? By putting x equals to 0. Or in other words, if you remember with me, as we said before, that the intersection point with x-axis, to find the intersection point with x-axis, it will be negative b over a and 0. To find the intersection point with y-axis, it will be 0 and b. Is it clear? Okay. Let's move to the second example and we will solve it by another method. Okay, let's start. I will do it in another method. We did this one, so we will work on f of x equals 2x. I will find different 3 points. These 3 points, how to find it? I will find these points by assuming any variable for any value for x and solve to get y. For example, I will make a table like this: x and y, or f of x. Try any 3 numbers. The most likely numbers for me is 0, 1, and 2. Sometimes somebody wants to use -1, 0, and 1. Other one will solve by using 1, 2, 3. It's up to you. Feel free to use whatever you want. So I will put x equals 0. F of 0 will be 2 multiplied by 0 is equals to 0. F of 1, I will replace each x and put instead of it 1. So 2 multiplied by 1 equals 2. F of 2, I will replace each x to put instead of it the value 2. So 2 multiplied by 2 equals 4. So I got 3 points. If I join these 3 points, it will be my line. So I will draw, it's not a good line. I will draw a vertical line which represents x-axis and a horizontal line which, the vertical line represents y-axis and the horizontal line represents x-axis. So I will put on my right hand x, on the other side x dash, y and y dash. Let's put my numbers 1 and 2 and 3, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -1, -2, -3. Let's put our points on the graph and join it together. First of all, 0 and 0, which is the origin point. The second point is 1 and 2 here. The third point is 2 and 4 here. And if you join them, these points, you will find the graph of the function. This graph of the function, this line is passing by the origin point because, as you see, the standard form of the function should be bx plus c, or ax plus b, whatever. So if the constant here doesn't exist, or it's not it hasn't a value, like here f of x equals 2x, so this function has no y-intercept, so it will pass by the origin point. Let's move to the second part and know how to deal with it. Here some examples to improve our skills on solving equations or in solving the linear functions. The first question, question 1. If the point A and -a lies on the straight line which represents the function f of x equals x minus 6, find the value of a. What is the meaning of the word a and -a lies on the function f of x equals x minus 6? In order to recognize this point, you need to know this. This means that f of a equals -a. So I'm telling you that if you replaced each x and put instead of it a minus 6, the answer or the result will be -a. And now I will solve an equation to find the value of a by putting or by adding a for both sides. So it will be 2a minus 6 equals 0, then 2a equals 6, and I got that a equaled 3. The second one, the second example. In this example, he's telling me if the straight line representing the function f of x equals ax plus b intersect y-axis at 0, 3. This means for me that f of x equal ax plus b intersect y-axis at, I know the rule, it's 0 and b. So if you are telling me that intersecting point with y-axis is 0, 3, this means that b equals 3. How to find the value of a? The second given is telling me that f of 2 equals 7. It means that if I replaced each x and put instead of it the value 2, the answer or the result will be 7, and I will solve an equation to get the value of a. So it will be, instead of ax, it will be 2a plus lb equals 3, and the answer is 7. Put it in the opposite sign, so 2a will be equals 4, then I got that a equals 2. Those two variables, a or two unknowns, a and b, let me know that the function f of x is 2x plus 3. Okay, great. Let's move to the next question. The next question is telling me to represent this function and determine, after representing, the points of intersection with the main coordinate axis. With the main coordinate axis, as we said before, this means that he is asking you to find the point of intersection with x-axis and also with y-axis. And how to do it, as we said, we have two methods to graph the line. The first one is putting x equals 0 and find the value of y. Step 2, to put y equals 0 and find the value of x. In this table, I will find the intersection points with x-axis and y-axis. Moreover, I got 2 points so that I can graph my line. So the other method is to assume any 3 values for x to draw your line, like putting x equals 0 or 1 or 2 or negative 1, 0, 1 or 1, 2, 3, whatever you want. I will use my method, which is putting x equals 0 and putting y equals 0 in the other time. If x equals 0, then y will be 0 plus 2, so it will be 2. If y equals 0, then x plus 2 equals 0, and putting 2 here with the opposite sign, then x will be negative 2. I got the intersection point with the main axis, and also I got 2 points so that I can graph my line. Let's plot our points. As we know, on my right hand it will be x, and other side x dash, y and y dash. Let me put my points 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Let's put or plot our points and join to get our line. 0 is 2 and negative 2 is 0, so this line will be like this. I draw the function. The last point is to write that the intersection point with x-axis is negative 2 and 0. The intersection point with y-axis is 0 and 2. As you see in the graph, I intersected x-axis at negative 2, 0, and I intersected y-axis at 0 and 2. Let's take one more example. F of x equals negative 2x plus 3. I will solve this example with the other method to make sure that you understood everything in this section. I will make a table, and in this table I will put it 0, 1, 2. Okay, let's start. F of 0 will be negative 2 multiplied by 0 plus 3, which is equal 3. F of 1 will be negative 2 multiplied by 1 plus 3, which is equals 1. F of 2 will be negative 2 multiplied by 2 plus 3, which is negative 1. I will plot these points and then I will graph my line. On my right hand it will be x and x dash, y, y dash, as we said before, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 4. Let's put our points, then plot our line. 0 with 3 here, and the other one with 1, 2 with negative 1. If I join these 3 points, I will got my line. So the next item to find, that he is asking you about the intersection point with x-axis and with y-axis. To find the intersection point with y-axis, as you know, the rule is 0 and b, or 0 and c. This will be 0 and 3, because as you see it's ax plus b. To find the intersection point with x-axis, I will put y equals to 0, and it's equal negative b over a, so it will be negative 3 over negative 2. This means positive 3 over 2 and 0. Is it clear? Okay, let's move to the next point. The next point, which is talking about the second kind of functions, which is the constant functions. I think the constant function is clear from its name. It's called constant. So whatever the value of x, it will not change. You are trying to change the value of the input, but the output is still steady or still constant for all values. For example, if f of x equals 5, I'm telling you that this function has a constant price of £5. So if you try to put instead of x1, you will get 5. Instead of x0, you will get 5. Instead of x negative 2, also you will get 5. Here, I can put a very important note for you. You will use it when you use the graphical representation. The constant function has no variable, so it's always constant. So on representing the constant function, it will be represented by a straight line which is parallel to x-axis. This line will be above x-axis if the constant is positive. It will be below x-axis if the constant is negative, and it will be on x-axis if the constant is 0. So let's solve some questions and check. The function f of x equals negative 3, represented by a straight line. Take care, this is a constant function. So when you graph it, it will be parallel to x-axis and passing through the point 0 and negative 3. Because it will be below x-axis as its constant is a negative number. F of x equals 4. As you see, it's a constant function. Whatever you are putting instead of x, you will get the function equals 4. So he's asking me which is greater, f of 2 or f of 3. He's an idiot. I think f of 2 equals 4. Also f of 3 equals 4. So both of them will be equal. F of x equals 5. 2 multiplied by f of 3, so it will be 2 multiplied by 5, it will be 10, because f of 3 is a constant function. It will get me 5. 5 multiplied by 2, it will be 10. Number 4, f of x equals 7. He is asking me f of 7 plus f of negative 7. You know, don't choose 0. It's not in the choices, but if you had 0 in the choices, don't go in this mistake. F of 7 equals 7. F of negative 7 is also equal 7, and 7 plus 7 equals 14. What about the last question? F of x equals 2. What about f of x minus 2? It's a constant function. If you are asking me for f of 500, it will be constant at the value 2. If you are asking me about f of x minus 2, it will be also 2, because it's a constant function. The third kind of functions we are moving to is the quadratic function. The word quadratic function means that it's a second degree function. So when you are dealing with this function, you know that it should have x raised to the power of 2, or in other words, we can say x squared. So it's called a second degree function or called a quadratic function. The quadratic function has also another scientific name, which is the parabola. So take care at this point, when you are graphing the quadratic function, it will not be a straight line. Note, the constant function was a straight line. The linear function was represented by using a straight line, but the quadratic function will not be a straight line. Some examples for the quadratic function, like f of x equals x squared, or x to the power of 2, x squared minus 2x, 3x squared minus 7x plus 2, 6 minus x squared plus x. All of these are different forms of the quadratic function. The most important and the most common point is that we have x raised to the power of 2, so that it's a second degree function. Let's know how to graph it. In the previous examples, to graph the linear function, I used 2 points from myself. I used to assume that x is equal to 1, to 0, to 2, or negative 1, 0, 1, or by assuming x equals 0 and y equals 0 and calculate the other side. In these examples, or in the quadratic function in general, he is giving you an interval. You should follow this interval. So I will put this interval like this: x and f of x or y. He is giving me an interval starting with negative 3 ending to 3. So it will be negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. He isn't asking you to use negative 3 and the 3. No, he is telling you to use all the number starting from -3 up to 3. So I will use -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. -3 to the power of 2, it will be 9. -2 to the power of 2, it will be 4. -1 to the power of 2, it will be 1. 0 to the power of 2 will be 0. And here I got 1, 4, and also 9. Let's move to the next point, which is representing graphically and plotting these points. I will draw my vertical axis like this. After that, I will do my horizontal axis like this, putting x, x dash, y, and y dash. 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3, -1, -2 is enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one is 9, 10. Let's put our points together. The first point is -3 and 9, so I will move to -3 and up to 9. The second point is -2 and 4, it will be here. -1 and 1, it will be here. 0 and 0, the origin point. 1, 1, 2 and 4, 3 and 9. If you join these points, you will find like the function will be as a U-shaped function. Sorry. As you see, it's a U-shaped function, or it's a curvy function, so that I can't draw this function by using my ruler. I should draw or join these points by using my freehand drawing. Let's move to another example and say how to graph it. Let's start. I will make a table. He is telling me to use the point starting from -3 up to 3. So I will put this table like this: x and y, or x, f of x, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Let's move to the next step, which is calculating -3 all to the power 2 with the negative sign. It will be -9, -4, -1, 0, -1, -4, -9, which is the reflection of the previous function. As you see, here I don't need positive numbers in y-axis. I need negative, so I will make the negative part is much bigger than the positive part to be smart while you are graphing your function. I will put 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, and -3, 1, 2, 3, and in the negative part it will be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, and -10. Let's put our points and join it together to find our final shape. -3 with -9 like this, -2 with -4, -1 with -1, 0 with 0, origin point, 1, -1, 2 with -4, and 3 with the -9. I will join it with my hand to get a curvy function, which is like U-shaped function. As you see, after joining my points, I will got a curvy function which represents a curve. Let's move to the next step to graph the point or graph the line, and after graphing to find the vertex point. What is the vertex point? As you see, we draw two curves. In these two curves, the first one was like this and the other one was like this. This point is called the vertex of the graph. How to find the vertex? As you know, the standard form of the quadratic function was f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So, to find the x coordinates of the vertex, it will be -b over 2a. b is the coefficient of x, and a is the coefficient of x squared. And to find the y coordinates, it will be f of -b over 2a. Means to find the value of -b over 2a, then substituting this value instead of x. Let's solve and see these points. When you are solving on the vertex, you should know that if the vertex is x and f of x, then this is the equation of axis of symmetry, and the value y is the maximum or minimum value. Maximum if the curve is open downward, and minimum if the curve is open upward. Let's solve and see. If the point 3 and 2 is the vertex of the curve, what is the equation of axis of symmetry? As we said, the axis of symmetry will be the value of 3. It will be x equal 3. In this point, the vertex, he wants me to find the vertex. To find the vertex, we said it will be negative b over 2a. So negative 4 means positive 4 over 2 multiplied by 2 means 1. So putting 1 instead of x, so it will be 2 multiplied by 1 power 2, multiply 4 by 1 plus L5, which is, I got it, equals to 3. So it will be 1 and 3. The equation of the axis of symmetry, it will be finding the vertex negative b over 2a. b here is equals to 0 because no coefficient for x, so the axis of symmetry will be at x equals 0. Let's move to the other questions. Finding the equation of the axis of symmetry of this line. First of all, you should put your function in its standard position. What is the standard position? I should expand this bracket, so it will be x squared minus 4x plus 2. I'm sorry, plus 4. I'm sorry for this mistake. First square, second squared, first by second by 2. To find the equation of axis of symmetry, it will be negative a over 2a. So it will be negative 4 over 2 multiplied by 1, which is equals to 2. So x equals 2. He's telling me that the curve of the function f of x equals x squared plus c passing through the points 0 and 2. Find the value of c. To find the value of c, put each x equals 0 and the answer will be equals 2. So it will be like 0 power 2 plus c equals 2. I think here c is equals to 2. Negative 2 and y belongs to this function. So replace each x and put instead of it negative 2 all power 2 plus 1 equals y. So I think y is equals to 5. The graph of the function x power 2 minus 2x plus 1. First of all, you should know that it's not a, because a is a constant function which is represented by a straight line, which it's not b, because b is looking downward, and as we said, it's looking downward means that a is negative number. In this equation or in this function, it's looking upward, yes, but it's passing its vertex on the origin point. So this point, this function has a vertex on the origin point. Vertex on the origin point means that the value of b is b has no value or doesn't exist in this equation. So I think it will be this one. Here we have finished unit 1 in the algebra of the first term for prep 3. As we said before, and in each video we will repeat it again, you should repeat solving this question by yourself and solve more examples, and good luck for all of you to meet on another videos.